It's cracking. I ain't really come on here to say anything. Well, should I say I didn't come over here with like real idea of what I was gonna say. Just kind of came on here for a second. How's everybody feeling? Hope all is well. You know what I'm saying? 13 love. And you know, if you're not aware what 13 love is, 13 is what people will consider to be Christ love. But 13 is really, in my interpretation, where one way you can look at it is the Trinity that resides within all of us. And so this is where you have, you know, Christ being the one and also being the 13th one, you know, but there's still that one thing again. So, and it's going, really dealing with the zodiac signs and the 12 houses, you know, that we call these different zodiacs that we have now, you know, Aries through Pisces. But the zodiacs that we're calling them now is just that, something that we're calling. That's not exactly what the houses are, which is why you have a separation when you start to get into like natal charts of the zodiac sign and the house that it's in. And you hear like you will have like Venus in the first house, or you'll have like these different things, because it is not that the house is like, for example, Aries. It's the fact that the beam or the light or the illumination of Aries was born out of the house. So the 12 disciples is a representation of the 12 houses. And this is why you have so many different cultures have different names for who they consider to be their Messiah, but they all have like similar backgrounds, mainly dealing with the fact that they either have 12 disciples, 12, pupils, 12 students, stuff like that. It's always dealing with 12. And the reason it's dealing with 12, because 12 is a representation of not only earth physically, but earth spiritually, mentally, and physically. The whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And, it gets deeper too once you start dealing with these numbers inside of self and like different, what's the word I'm looking for? What's it called? Geometry. This geometry. Like what they call the fucking symbols, like a square and a circle, shit like that. Geometric shapes. That's the word I'm looking for. Geometric. Right. So you will, if you start working with these different shapes and sounds and numbers and all these different things with inside of self, because really that's what, like I said, 13 is represented again. It's dealing with the Trinity inside of self. You know what I'm saying? Entering, understanding yourself as a mental, physical, and spiritual being. So all these things that I just mentioned you can look at them as bodies. So you have a physical body, a mental body, and a spiritual body, which is what normally when you start getting into like a lot of the spiritual sciences, that's what they refer to these different bodies as. But you also have an emotional body and as well. It's a lot of different bodies, but Christ is 13. You are 13. Everybody is 13. You see what I'm saying? There isn't a particular being that is 13. 13 is a representation of one overstanding themselves, or a soul completed, or a spirit completed, which is a soul that is whole. You know what I'm saying? And then the soul itself is a map, but it's not a map of just this life. It's a map of every life you had. And so with every life you had, you have certain, locations within those lives. And those lives allow you to map out all the pieces of the universe you have been. You see what I'm saying? But this is not a physical thing. The physical is something that occurs later. Even when you're talking about physicality is really perspective, because there are a lot of different things on different density levels, and in those density levels they have their own understanding of what physical is. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, I didn't really come on here to talk about anything. I'm just rambling, off the top. So 13 love to you, because 13 is you. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the powerful principles, virtues, and morals that's on this planet. But there are many others. But as a spirit, you're not supposed to worship these principles. You're not supposed to worship anything. If you're going to worship something, and then it should be yourself. Because if you are doing that, all the energy that you will be sending to another being by worshiping them will now be directed back to you. Sent directly back to you. You see what I'm saying? So your light, your influence, your imagination, your faith, your belief, your intent, all these things are lights or rays. You see what I'm saying? And these rays go out. And so if they're going out and you're sending all these rays back to yourself, it's creating an arc. You see what I'm saying? It creates a circle, a sphere around you. And this is how we created different bodies and different things like that. Shout out to the man, because this is true. This is a truth that I've also found. And it really makes the most sense, because it's like, this is something that you do every day. See, like I say, in a lot of these movies and stuff and shows and TV shows, stuff like that, they always have humans at the lowest of the ladder scale. You know what I'm saying? But all these different spirits always want what's inside of the human. So how can you have one of the most powerful things inside of you, but be one of the most weakest things in existence? The irony. It's very ironic. Maybe you're not the weakest. Maybe someone wants you to think you're the weakest. You ever thought about that? Do you think? Like I sit here and think right now, just thinking. I could sit here and watch a whole show in my head. So, if anybody was wondering why I say 13 love, that's why. So I also say 13 wisdom, 13 knowledge, and 13 respect, because I'm speaking from the perspective of you overstanding love, overstanding knowledge, overstanding respect, overstanding wisdom. And then you can rise up and fly high like those 9 ether beings and stay true. So you will get why I say what I say. Rise up, fly high, stay true like the 9s. I'm talking about 9 ether beings. And that's really just dealing with the vortex of 9. And as 9 is always, even though it has ups and downs, it always rises above, or comes back in. It always has a direction, a positive direction. You know what I'm saying? When you something that comes out and it doesn't go the way you wanted it to go, but when you're out of the situation, you realize if it didn't happen that way, it could have been a lot worse, and this was the best outcome you could have had. But you weren't aware of that. You thought you were in a low time. But when you came out of it, you were in a better position than you was when you went into it. So that is what that is. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of numbers mean. You know what I'm saying? I got my own interpretation on shit too. But once again, that's me just dealing with these numbers inside of self, dealing with these signs inside of self, and, you know, using them as tools, which they were supposed to be used for. Like, all this religion that you're reading, none of this religious stuff is literal. And I don't mean literal that it doesn't exist. No, it does exist. It's just that it's not physical. Like, the stuff that's happening in the Bible is spiritual and mental. You know what I'm saying? It's about the spirit and what the spirit is going through all the different mentalities or lights that it sees before it even came into the physical. How it even came to the conclusion to create a physical plane. You know what I'm saying? $13 love though. I'm finna get up out of here. Rise up for the house, they true like a 9. I'm out.